Hey guys, happy Friday. Today's Friday the 13th. We didn't even talk about that. September 13th, 2019. I am here at one of my favorite places in Orlando, Swirlery Wine Bar, with my very old and dear friend, Melissa McAvoy. Say hi, Melissa.
Hello, happy Friday the 13th,
Happy
everyone.
Friday the 13th. So let us know you can hear us or see us. Arlene Ramirez, happy birthday, fairy godmother. I love you. We are actually filming in Swirlery today. It's their 4-year anniversary. Melissa and I met a long time ago, real estate world, and now she has blossomed and she's got her own wine bar with her partner, Damian Roman, who's not here. Our master of wine, K Reilly, is running a little behind, but you know, we always start on time with the show because it's live and you guys pop on to check it out. Let us know you can hear us and see us, which we got. We got a thumbs up. So Jean and her crew might come in, interrupt a little bit, but that didn't stop us from kicking it off with a glass of rosé. So
Cheers.
Welcome to the show. All right, so Melissa's going to tell us a little. Well, everybody always likes to know origin stories, so tell us a little bit about you. I know a lot of the history, but I can't wait to hear you tell the story of how you jumped out of the loan business and became involved in the wine business. So welcome.
Thank you so much. So I've been in Orlando for over 20 years. I graduated from UCF.
Me too. Go Knights.
Yay, go Knights.
Aren't they playing this weekend?
They are, yes. And I was always involved in hospitality right from the get-go at a young age, since I was like 10.
That's right.
Yeah.
Disney.
And I've been at Disney for over 18 years. So during that time, I did start to get involved and became a loan officer, and it was really fun and exciting. And
that was before the crash,
that was
right?
before 2008,
when everybody was a loan officer or a real estate
exactly.
agent.
But I was really, really amazing at it.
You, of course,
Yeah.
you are.
I loved it. I loved helping people, and I still love helping people to this day. And
you sent me realtors. We were just talking about a couple of other real estate agents that
I'm
Melissa's
still
so
involved.
good. She's still involved.
Still involved. We love the real estate community.
And so, how did you get? Is it because of your hospitality experience that you began to develop a love and wanted to learn more about wine?
It's so true, yes. And I really just wanted to dive deep. I started studying in 2013 with the Court of Master Sommeliers. And at that point, honestly, I did want to get back into the real estate world. It was like a divide for me, but I didn't want to wear too many hats, as I told myself. Now I'm a business owner, and yeah, I'm wearing a lot of different hats. But so then I just dove right into the wine scene, embraced it, went super deep, and then here we are now. 2015, we opened up Swirlery Wine Bar.
How was that scary? So it's beautiful. It's on Michigan, in Orlando, Michigan Street, Michigan Avenue in Orlando. Was that a big leap of faith for you guys to do that? Because Damian's in music. You were obviously hospitality and real estate. And then to bring that all together as an entrepreneur and open a business, was that scary, different?
You know, it was just slightly scary, but Damian, I always say, really like shoved me into the fire. Like any hesitation that I may have had, he came right in and didn't have that. And honestly, the support of our friends and our family really helped make it so much less scary.
And so I'm going to say this, and I know you'll laugh. It was super easy, and you were making $1 million a month right out the gate, right?
Right out the door, absolutely.
People have an interesting concept of going into business for yourself. They think, okay, I'm going to make as much money as I can, which is true. You could do that. I'm going to have all this free time. Nobody's my boss.
That's right.
And it's the complete opposite of that. You have to pay your dues, which is what you guys have done for 4 years.
Absolutely. It's getting easier now to take time off, but working 6 days a week for the last 4 years is very much the way life has been.
Well, because anything that has to do with alcohol or food, it's very hard to take a day off.
Exactly.
It's very hard to not be in it. And when it's your business, so talk about how that is. Do you and Damian have different roles in the business? Do you have things that you're good at and things he's good at?
Yeah, definitely. I focus more on a lot of the purchasing of the wine. But there are times when he steps up and makes a few decisions on wines that he really likes. He focuses more on the beer, even though I really do love the beer myself. It's just something that he has just a little bit more passion about than I do. And then we both come together with all of our fun events that we do.
You do great events. And one thing, a beer cicerone, is that what a beer sommelier basically is? I know some people who've trained for that.
It's very challenging.
It seems like it's
It's
challenging.
not easy. I mean, I'm a certified beer server, and I've taken the certified cicerone exam, and I've passed half of it, and I need to retake the other portion of it. It is very challenging. It's 150 written questions, on all of the beer regions of the world and different styles, and there's so many.
So how did you keep afloat for 4 years? I think I know. I think you're very creative.
Yes.
And talk about some of that creativity, because you really do a great job on social media, which a lot of people would miss or wouldn't think a wine bar would do.
I think part of that comes from us working in the event promotion DJ scene, honestly, because that's another thing is, Damian DJs here in Orlando, and we've been doing a club night that's 20 years old every week for 20 years leading up to this. That really gave us a cutting edge advantage with marketing, because we really were great at like guerrilla street marketing. We'd go out there and put flyers at all the cars at UCF and at Full Sail and downtown, and we were right there with Facebook right as soon as, and Instagram, and so we're very good at marketing, and we just love to do events, and we just love to celebrate life. So there's always an event to be had, really.
But so give them some ideas of, like, I've been to many actually. You have food trucks that come out back. You have game nights, movie nights. You have blind wine tastes. Talk a little bit about all the things that you do here, because it's such a cool place. And when we finish, assuming Jean gets here before we do, I'll turn the camera around so you guys can see it. It's an amazing spot.
Thank you so much. So yeah, every Tuesday we do a blind tasting Tuesday. All levels are welcome. It's super fun. On Wednesdays we did feature tons of movies. We've been dabbling in some live music. Next Wednesday we have John Maz, and we have the Cousins Lobster Food Truck coming back, so we love them. Tonight we're going to have champagne and pizza night, so I encourage everyone to come down for some pizza and champagne.
Yeah,
I mean, take that high-low thing and combine
And you know
them.
what's great about coming in here too? I think a lot of people get intimidated when you go to a wine bar. Well, you can tell Melissa is very easygoing and accessible. So is Damian. So when you come in, it's like your family when you get here, and that's what you want, because I think a lot of people are afraid to invest or try to learn about wine because they're afraid that somebody like you is going to look down at them if they pick the wrong wine or don't like it or can't pick out the taste.
Right. You're right. I mean, a lot of places could be like that, but definitely we are really chill, down to earth, and we're here for the guests. We're here for you. Whatever you need, we're here to help.
I love
And
that. You do a
never
lot in the
judge.
community too. We were talking about that.
Yeah, I sit on the board of the Soto District, so shout out to the Soto District.
Soto.
I'm a huge fan.
South of downtown. These are new acronyms that came much later,
Yeah.
like the Milk District. We were talking about that.
And there's so much growth in the
There's
neighborhood.
so much growth. So what are you doing different now 4 years later than you did in the beginning?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Probably a little bit more considerate with what I'm buying. Although I love wine, and it's like, ooh, let's go shopping.
Me too, right? It's I can't imagine. So if you could, when you look around, you can even see behind us. When you have that many choices, it's, for me, it's hard. I'm like a kid in a candy store when I come in here, because I want to try all different things. Labeling seems to be super important. Sometimes I'll buy a bottle of wine based on what the label looks like and the description. So how do you help people when they come in? Let's say somebody comes in tonight. How do you help them figure out their taste? Do you have conversations with them?
Absolutely.
What are some of the things?
And I think that's something that you get better at, definitely over time, is being able to really understand what someone enjoys and what they're looking for, and really like listen to what they tell you. What do they normally drink? What
Right.
That's the main thing, is what do you usually drink? Is what
So I
like
always want to
find
know.
out.
I don't think I've ever asked you this. You've tasted? I can't even imagine how many wines. Do you have a specific one that you go back to, either a varietal or a type or a like this is an English sparkling
Yes,
wine,
so exciting.
and it's called. Can we say the name?
Yeah,
It's called
please.
Digby.
Yeah, we can show
and
it.
it's
So
delicious.
pretty.
So, is there something you go back to regularly, like that's your? And if you say White Zinfandel, I might cry.
Yeah, why not? We should have a White Zinfandel
You
party.
should totally have a White Zinfandel party.
Yeah, like one of my friends is down here locally, and like sometimes people might even bring in magnums of Sutter home, and it's so much fun. But to your question, Ted, champagne, who doesn't love champagne? I could drink champagne all the time. Huge fan, but I also have a love for Gamay, Cru Beaujolais, coming out of Burgundy, France. It's a lighter style red that's great with a chill, soft plush tannins, and super food friendly. That's something that I always love to go back to. I love Rieslings as well. I love Gruner Veltliner.
Do you like the sweeter Riesling or the drier?
I like
Riesling?
the Gross Gewächs. I like a really super dry
Me too. Me
Riesling. They can be just so compelling.
I didn't even know Rieslings were dry until I tried one in the German pavilion at Epcot.
Wow.
And I tried it, and I said, I really don't know if I want sweet. And she said, it's not sweet at all. It's delicious. What do you do about food, though? Because is it really true, the old saying that white for fish, red for meat? Can you mix it up? And then how do you determine that?
Yeah, I think you can mix it up for sure. And obviously white wine and fish, goes hand in hand. I love seafood myself, and so many times I'm looking for something, that goes great with seafood. But there's tons of reds that do work with seafood as well. You want to look for a red that, in my opinion, has, not a lot of oak. So you can go with some softer food preparations, and definitely some softer tannins. So like a Pinot Noir, Gamay, like I mentioned, from Cru Beaujolais, Mencia, a really awesome grape coming out of Spain. You want to go with those light, soft reds.
Are you a fan? So there's always been such an interesting challenge between European wines and California wines or United States wines. How are you feeling on that? Can you go all ways? Do you have some in each place that you really love? I don't like an oaky Chardonnay, so it's hard for me and that. And I also don't like a California Sauvignon Blanc, but I love a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
That is very interesting.
I don't know why. I love that citrusy, grapey, grapefruity.
Now I want you to drink California Sauvignon Blanc. I just want to discover a bottle that you.
And if you could, I would want to, because a lot of places you go, that's the thing. Like, if you go out and you see the wine list, I usually, if I don't like the wine list, I just go to vodka.
I am the same way too. I'll get a dirty martini with some blue cheese stuffed olives.
We used to drink those at the Citrus Club, didn't we?
and so oftentimes at a steakhouse, sometimes that happens to me. I might have to.
We went in, I was at an Italian restaurant recently, and I got to try an Italian Sauvignon Blanc, which I didn't. That's the thing. I think people don't know, and I don't either. That's the grape, right?
Right.
The grape is Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So when it's a Cabernet, what does that mean? That's where it's from?
No, grape too. Cabernet
that's a grape
too. Yeah. But like Bordeaux would be a mixture of Cabernet and Merlot and Cabernet Franc grapes. So, there's also great Sauvignon Blanc coming out of Bordeaux.
I would love to try that.
Yes.
I've tried a white Bordeaux.
Yes.
Right,
so that's
before.
it. Yeah. And so you might just not realize it's predominantly Sauvignon Blanc with a little Semillon mixed in with it.
So we were talking about real estate before, because of our common interest and history there. And you probably I feel like when I come in here, it's like Cheers. You have a lot of regulars, and then when you do your events, I feel like you get new people in.
Yes.
And also with your social media. So what are some of the big questions you get asked? What are some of the things that do you ever educate somebody on, oh, honey, that's not what that's called? Or, you have to kind of play. You don't want to make people feel bad, but there's so much info.
A really polite way of doing things. We also, we practice service a lot with my friends, getting ready to take huge exams. And we joke, if somebody does order something, incorrectly, how do you go about, I personally never want to say to someone, you're wrong.
Right. Well, you don't want to be on this side because we're obviously behind the.
And maybe you present the wine and you softly might say, this is what it is, or I'm presenting this. Just move on really quick.
We have a joke in the house because somebody said once Pinot Grigio.
Oh.
It was tough.
Sure.
And but I've also learned, I used to say Moet.
Or Viognier instead of Viognier, right?
And look, it's okay to say
it's
that.
Okay,
just be around someone, at least you're trying. But I thought it was always Moet because you think French.
Sure.
But it's Moet.
Yes, because it's a family. That's why. It can be so tricky.
That's the kind of cool stuff to learn.
Yeah, it's Moet. But
so talk, what's the difference between sparkling wine and champagne?
Cool. So champagne has to come from Champagne, France. Beautiful place to visit, Fly into Paris, you can take a high-speed train right up to Champagne. You can go to some of the major towns, Epernay and Reims, and just enjoy beautiful sparkling wine. They do the fermentation actually in the bottle versus like maybe in Prosecco, a lot of times it's done in a bulk tank. There's different methods of production, but Champagne takes longer and, is just precise, and it grows on this amazing white chalk that region is absolutely famous for.
Yeah.
It's one of the coolest growing regions in the world. They used to struggle really to get their grapes ripe, But I understand that they're picking their grapes up to 3 weeks earlier. Harvest is 3 weeks earlier than it used to be. So to be honest with you, I don't think they're having as much of a challenge ripening these grapes like they used to, because of the warming of the planet.
The warming. Damian just popped on. What's up, Damian?
Hey,
we miss
Damian, we miss you.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, so people will order something, and I'm trying to learn too. Like, I don't know everything, so I love to, when I'm at a place, if they have a sommelier or a wine specialist on, looking good, guys, he says, thank you. If they have someone there, I love to talk to them, because I think a lot of people are afraid too, because they're afraid that that person is going to try to sell them the most expensive thing, whether it tastes good or doesn't taste good. And that's really a misnomer. Of course, you're going to have bad apples, but talk about that, because you're really here to make them happy, not to squeeze another $1 or 10 out of them.
I mean, if you tell me that you love to drink, Menage a Trois, I'm not probably going to be selling you, a first growth Bordeaux.
Right.
Because you probably, you might not like it, and I've got to feel you out too before I'm going to sell you, like a $500 bottle of wine. I'm not going to put you into that situation. Maybe I'll have you try a few things that we do by the glass to kind of see where your palate is at. And if you want to be adventurous and go, down the rabbit hole, I'm certainly willing to take you there. But at the same time too, I want to gain your trust, and I want to make sure that we align what you want and what you receive.
It's all about the relationship, just like it is in all businesses. I think people underestimate that. And so when you come in here, you want to tell Melissa or Damian, whoever's behind the bar, hey, these are the kinds of things I like. You're right about the, let's say, Menage a Trois.
Right.
If you go to a first growth Bordeaux, the problem there is their palate. Maybe they've only ever experienced, how do I say this without sounding crazy, Menage a Trois wine. And they haven't developed their palate enough. So what's the experience like? So I think a lot of people start with, I use White Zinfandel, I'm not making fun of it, but that's where a lot of people start their wine journey. Or Chardonnay seems to be safe. Why is that? Why do people do that? Is it because of taste, or is it because that's what everybody else is doing?
I think it's maybe taste, and it might be familiarity too, because a lot of times the wine can be like an unknown industry. People don't really understand it, and they want to be in a comfort zone.
Yeah.
So if they like White Zinfandel, I think that they should start to try different Rieslings and try other white varieties that aren't so dry, and then just keep experimenting until they build their palate up. It's kind of like coffee, right? You start out with a lot of sugar and cream, and now all of a sudden you just want a double espresso,
plain black, as caffeinated as possible.
Exactly.
What I'm going to ask one last question. I actually had somebody ask me this. I didn't know the answer. White Zinfandel, back to that.
Yes.
Is that the grape, and why is it pink, and why is it called white?
Sure. So I guess they just decided to call it White Zinfandel, but Zinfandel is a red grape that grows in California. There are some great expressions of it done very well. Bedrock makes a great example. Chateau Montelena makes a great Zin as well, and it can be done in all kinds of styles. Really like overly ripe and juicy. But then I've had some that can be almost disguised blindly as a Pinot Noir.
Really?
So crushable and delicious, light, and really, really tasty wine. So when they get the light pressing of the grapes, and just a little bit of that bleed off, it kind of makes that rosé colored White Zinfandel.
Fascinating.
And they're probably working with the Zinfandel grapes, which
I love that. I also, speaking of rosé, because that's what we're planning to talk about today.
Yes.
Rosé has really skyrocketed. It became super trendy, but it's delicious. I've always liked a drier rosé. People think that rosé is only sweet, and I don't think. I only drink the dries. So talk about what happened. What was going on? Why did rosé just all of a sudden skyrocket everywhere?
So a lot of people have tried to kind of figure that out, and one idea that sounds pretty valid is that White Zinfandel by Sutter Home kind of killed the market, and it really left a stigma of what people thought that pink wine was, something sweet. And so I think, as what I understand, is like all the millennials didn't grow up with that sort of stigma against white Zinfandel, and so the market was just ready for rosé.
Because it's different, right? So it's a pink wine. It's pretty to look at.
It's
looks
beautiful.
great. Yeah, oh, Maggie says hi. She just texted me.
Hi, Maggie.
It's a great drinking wine. It's so delicious.
So versatile.
Yes.
Drink it on the porch. Drink it with some shellfish.
Or for breakfast,
some
which is what Melissa and I are doing right now. No, I just love it. I think, but like my daughter doesn't like it, but all of us in the family really enjoy it, and I think it's because it does have it can be a little bit dry. What do you think about reds that are chilled? Because I also
love
get
that.
Okay, so I do too, because that's very
Yes.
European, right? When we've traveled to Europe, people chill, and I'm not talking about on ice with ice cubes. I'm talking about a slight chill
Yes.
on their red wine. So talk about why that's important. Never too early for a glass of vino. You're right,
Absolutely.
Ronnie.
Well, first and foremost, we live in Florida, and it's going to probably be over 90 degrees today in mid-September. So people always ask, what do you drink? Well, I drink a lot of white wine.
Me too.
Yeah, just
Me too.
because of my climate. If it was cool out, I would love to open up a red. So for us, chilling these reds is amazing, and it's too warm. Our room temperature is too high here in Florida, and so
Right.
we should be chilling our reds anyway. So I just encourage everyone.
So how does somebody chill it? What should they do? Like put it in the refrigerator for just a little bit?
Absolutely. Put it in the refrigerator, even overnight, and then pull it out, 15 to 20 minutes before you're ready to serve it for your guests or yourself.
And then how about decanting? So I have seen people open it. What's the rule on decanting? Why do you see some wines that are decanted and some that aren't?
So honestly, there really aren't any rules. There's some restaurants in towns who I admire and think are absolutely the best. They might decant every Chardonnay that goes out to every single table and every red wine because they want to put on the show. So that's perfectly okay. Me personally, I decant for several reasons. Number one, if the guest wants me to, absolutely, we're decanting the wine. If it's kind of young and sort of tight and wound up, like a big Cab or a big Bordeaux, that's a little bit young, in my opinion, then I might want to get some air in it to just kind of get it evolving.
Is that
a
what the
little more
point of
quickly.
decanting is? What's the point of putting
To
it
me,
in
the
there?
true point of decanting is when we go to the cellar, we take out an old bottle of wine. This is where the real excitement comes in because I love drinking old wine. And then we want to just remove the wine from the sediment. That's tannins that have fallen off the wine as it's aged in the cellar. So really just to remove the sediment off the wine so we can enjoy the wine and have a clean wine drinking experience.
I love this. Yeah, I just never knew. Sometimes, and if there's a sommelier on, they'll usually say, "Would you like that decanted?" And I
Yes.
always go with the flow because I'm never quite sure.
Sure.
But they always do it with the old wines at Burn.
Yes,
That's when you said that. That's
absolutely.
the first thing I
Yes,
thought of.
and we love Burns.
I love Burns.
Oh my
Steakhouse.
gosh,
If
we
you guys
should go
haven't been,
together.
it's in Tampa, right? Tampa.
Incredible
And it's
old
absolutely
wines.
amazing. And that just the tour of the wine cellar and the history there is
And the
insane.
dessert rooms, stellar.
And so what do you do to
pours.
keep it fresh for you?
Sure.
Not only as a business owner, but a business owner of wine and beer. What do you do to keep it fresh? Are you always going to classes? Are
Always
you always
going
going
to
to tastings? Are you always experimenting, trying to figure out what wines you haven't tried? Because believe it or not, even Melissa hasn't tried every single wine that there is.
That is so true. It's a never-ending abyss that I can never get to the bottom of,
It's a good problem
which
to
is
have.
why I'm still captivated.
I think so. Like the other thing that I love about you and Damian and coming here is that you all are passionate about it, and that you're trying to impart that on other people who come to Swirlery. You want them to become passionate about it. You don't want it to just be, okay, I'm going to chug 6 of these Chardonnays back and not think about it. It's more about the experience and experiencing the wine and understanding the wine. That's how you all
Yes,
treat people.
It's true. And this year I went to Texom out in Texas, so that was a huge wine conference, and so that provided me with tons of inspiration. And I got to go to like a sommelier boot camp, and I got to go to the Aspen Food and Wine Festival as well. So all these things keep you on your toes, seeing what's new in the industry. We'll be heading down to Raw Wine Festival in October in Miami, and just always trying new wines. I have a really amazing support group here too that I study with. We blind taste secretly every Sunday morning.
I love it.
I have a study group that's based all over the United States, so that
what do you
helps keep me
do?
inspired.
And I think that's what we all have to do in our businesses. You have to continue. The passion's there, but it can sometimes the business part can be overwhelming because really what you want to do is taste wine and help other people taste wine. But you have to run a business in order to do that.
It's true.
And so it sometimes can get not stale, but it can be a challenge sometimes to continue that passion and continue to wake up every morning and go, I love it, which I know is what you do.
Yes.
I absolutely. Oh, so what's trending now? Because rosé has had its trend. I know people are still in. I'm not going to talk about the claw, but something like.
Yeah.
So what's trending now in wine?
Let's think about it. Well, like wine cocktails are pretty trendy.
But what's a wine cocktail?
Yeah, so like just like a lower ABV cocktail. So you could maybe have like a vermouth with a little bit of Riesling.
I don't think I've ever had anything like. I've had where they top it off with a sparkling wine.
Or like an Aperol spritz.
I love an Aperol spritz.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Well, if you haven't tried it, it's
I think
great.
spritzes are still in.
Spritzes are never going away.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
They're
It's
totally
always going to
in.
be here. That's kind of what a claw's like. It reminds me a little bit of a spritz.
Do you like the claw?
I do like the claw.
Yeah,
I like
love
a loaded
sparkling
claw.
water, but for some reason, good thing I don't go too crazy on these claws.
No,
Oh,
but,
loaded claw.
oh yeah, loaded
Ooh.
claw. I learned that from I want to say my friend Tony Figueroa at a party. A loaded claw. Yeah, so you mix. So what I usually have them do, like if it's black cherry, I'll have them put something similar in there, or if it's the mango one, we put some sort of citrus vodka.
Fun.
Yeah, just to kind of doll it up.
Absolutely.
And it adds, you're going from 5% alcohol to 35 or whatever it is. It's a little bit of a difference, but it kind of adds a little bit of a punch. Sometimes you do feel like you're drinking sparkling water, but then after a few, you're like, wow, I wasn't drinking sparkling.
That's right.
How do you feel about new people trying to get into this business? If somebody's watching and they say, I love wine, I'd love to learn more about the business, what's the first step?
Well, gosh, it's a great question. Our friends are here.
Our friends are
with
here.
With the rosé.
With the rosé.
I
So
should go let
You
them
should,
in.
and I'll
All
keep
right.
talking.
Okay, cool.
Actually, I'll pour myself some more
Digby.
sparkling Digby. The reason I love wine is because I feel like it is not as heavy. I can't drink beer anymore because I'm old, and old people have a hard time digesting the beer, or at least I do. But the great thing about wine is that there's so many varietals and so many levels of sweetness or dry or whatever you want. And the sparkling is one that always makes you, hello everyone. Hi. So Jean and her team are here, yes?
Yes.
So she's gonna come on for a little bit, introduce herself. Come on in.
Come on in, Jean. Have a seat with Ted.
Please have a seat. So this is Jean Reilly, Master of Wine. Or mistress,
be here.
mistress of wine. Is it Master of Wine?
No, we just go with Master of Wine. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a different group.
That's a whole.
altogether.
Oh, I believe it. I'm
Yeah.
sure we all know those people too. So we've been having a great conversation about wine in general, but you're here today. You're going to be doing a little bit while we talk, but give them a little bit of background on you. What does it mean to be a master of wine, and how did you get into that?
Well, I changed. I used to be in finance, and when I changed to wine, I realized that there were a lot of people, consumers and professionals, talked a lot about wine but didn't really know what they were talking about.
Correct.
So I started with the WSET courses, which I now teach here in Orlando.
I heard that.
Went through levels. Yeah, we'll have to get you into it.
Oh my God. I might fall asleep after I've had. Well, you guys spit it out.
Yeah, we spit.
I do not
That's
spit.
the professional way.
I know, which is why I don't know if I could ever make it through that. Tastes too good. So you started there and you teach
Yeah.
those classes. What is the
Yeah.
what is
Wine
that?
and Spirits Education Trust. So it's based out of London. They have 100,000 graduates every year around the world. So it's far and away the world's largest wine education
awesome.
institution. And so I teach classes here. Most major cities in the U.S., in Western Europe, they have WSET schools. So I teach levels 1 through 3 here.
Awesome.
I have. I went through level 4, the diploma in New York. There are only a few places around the country where you can do that. We're going to be tutoring some level 4 students today. And then I went on to the Master of Wine, which is a different program. That took me a mere 7 years and $100,000.
Oh my gosh, 7 years.
Yeah, it's a very tough exam. When I started, no American had passed in 4 years.
Wow.
And there were 25 Americans trying every year.
You really are a big wig. I might need an autograph after that, or cheers on the wine, but
Cheers.
on the sparkling wine.
Yes.
Cheers.
Since this is Digby, a fabulous sparkling winemaker, I'm just going to have a sip, and I'm
As
not
you
gonna
should,
spit.
please. Oh no, yeah, you guys can't see it, but have you ever seen it at events? If you go to like to me, it's like a real wine tasting, a real
Professional
wine
tasting,
experience. Yes, there's you see people go over and spit, and normally we're taught not to do that in public.
Right.
But they have them there because that's the professional way. So all you guys who think I'm a professional drinker, I'm not. See, I don't spit. But I love that. So why spit? Is that so that you can get ready for the next one? Or is it because you don't like it? Or
No, not at all. It has nothing to do with whether you like it. These tastings, sometimes you might have 200, Melissa, you've been at tastings.
Oh, yes. Went to one
200
this
wines. And if you don't spit, the last wine is always the best, right?
Right.
You're not making fair decisions, you're not making fair comparisons. Getting, as a wine professional, getting tipsy at work is just as unprofessional as in any other job.
True. And so what do you do? What's your business? You teach?
So
and is that your main profession?
Yeah, I do a lot of things around wine education. So I do a lot of corporate events. So somebody might be having a meeting down here in Orlando or Miami, and I do a wine and food pairing dinner. Or maybe in the afternoon, I teach people about wine blending. They get to make their own Bordeaux blend, just as
cool.
sort of something fun to keep people entertained. And then I do a lot of education for the trade. So I do a lot of public speaking. This year I've done classes for people in the wine business, master classes in Los Angeles, San Francisco, Raleigh, Paris, Sicily. I just got back from New York where I did an event. So
this doesn't sound like a bad vocation, Jean.
Yes, I know.
I'm thinking, what? You get to travel all that, and you're teaching people how to drink or recognize and love and have a passion for wine.
I seriously love my job. I wake up in the morning and think, I can't wait to go to work.
Isn't that awesome? We were just talking about that earlier on the show. All right, so I have to ask you, I asked Melissa this. Is there a favorite type of wine or wine that you go back to regularly? Because you're trying so many. And I think people always want to know, so somebody like you or Melissa, do you have a go-to? Do you have a favorite or a favorite region or grape?
Well, Ted, see, if we were at your place, I would be thinking, what's the best bottle in his cellar? And that's the name of the wine I would come up with. So I could try to get you to bring that bottle out and open it.
Wow,
Nice.
that's a good move.
We're here at Swirlery Chez Melissa, and that's really hard because she has a lot of wine here. A lot of it's very eclectic. But I think maybe a wine from a volcanic soil.
That's what you like. And what's the reason? Is it because of the way, is it the taste, the texture?
It has a lot of minerality, so they tend to be fruity, but vines on volcanic soils really struggle. There isn't a lot of nutrition in that soil. So the grapes sort of have this extra character, just like somebody who struggled, when they were young to get somewhere.
Oh, what a great analogy. I like that.
So
So you're not at home privately swigging Boone's Farm in a closet somewhere. That's not your go-to.
No, not so much. No. If I'm at that level, I'm having a great IPA.
There it is. All right. So, and do you find that people who a master of wine, or like Melissa, or you, like you, and like Melissa being a sommelier,
Melissa, a future master sommelier.
yes. How is that when you go switch to a vodka or to a beer? Does it, or are you always drinking wine?
Oh, I love cocktails. I love beer. Melissa does too.
Yeah, I do. Absolutely.
It's funny because I think
You guys
people
have some nice beers on tap.
We
they
do.
do, and we were
New
talking about what a
Swirlery.
wonderful,
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful place Swirlery is, and the big 4-year anniversary. Is it tonight or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the actual day, right?
Okay, I have a confession to make.
Okay,
So
tell us.
I was teaching a level 1 class, which has typically has about half consumers in it, and there were 2 people there from a different wine bar. And I said, anybody who hasn't who hasn't been to Swirlery, raise their hand. I'm like, oh my God, you have to go. It's the best wine bar.
Aw, thank you.
Oh
True.
my God, but there were 2 people.
There were 2.
at the wine bar.
Aw.
So I felt kind of bad.
See?
But yours is like the hipster, funky, cool. Actually, the other one was more like upscale, refined, sort of the swanky part of town. You're in the downtown.
Oh, yeah.
We were talking
area.
about you come in here and you immediately, because a lot of people come into anything that's wine bar and they immediately feel intimidated because they don't understand it and they're afraid that the people are going to look down at them if they order the wrong wine. When you come here, it's homey, it's personable. Melissa and Damian are accessible, and you could still find, like you said, Jean, an eclectic wine, something you want to try. I was telling Melissa marketing-wise, sometimes I will pick a bottle based on the label after I've read it. Because if it's a cab and I've I think I know what cabs taste like, but the label is cool or the marketing's cool. I'm like, well, I want to try that. Let's see what the difference is.
There's no reason to be intimidated by wine. If everybody knew as much about wine as Melissa and I, we'd be unemployed.
Right.
Seriously,
true.
so we love it when people come in with questions. That's what really makes our day.
Well, I love that you're willing to educate people on that. And I think that a lot of people, when they're watching, are thinking, okay, so I should stop drinking this. No, we're not saying that, but what I think we all want you to do is to expand your palate, to expand what you've tried, get outside your 9 dots, and maybe try that wine that the sommelier, the wine person, the person behind the bar says, I think you should try this. It's this, this, and this. But Melissa was saying earlier, and I'm sure you'd agree, you have to listen to them. You have to hear what they have to explain to you what their likes and dislikes are.
It's true, but it can be tough for, I mean, even people in the industry, but consumers, to put words on flavors and smells. That's just not something our brain does naturally. And that's where I think education comes in.
That's right.
You know, allows you to connect that sensory part of your brain with the linguistic part of your brain.
Well, it's hard. Like I was telling Melissa that in a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, for example, I that citrusy, grassy, grapefruit. I know that,
Right.
but I
You've
had
got
to.
that vocabulary.
But I had to learn that.
Right.
I don't know if I would have immediately said grassy, but now that I've tasted it and been educated and talked about it, now when I taste normally a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, I can tell the difference between one that is grassy and one that isn't. I like that grassy, grapefruity, citrusy, whatever else is going on in there.
I know, I remember I had a friend once, she was like, oh, this is it. This is what I like in a wine. What is that? I'm like, well, there's 100 things going on in that wine. I don't know. You know, it's a challenge for wine professionals to help make that connection.
You guys are also really good at trying to help them find the words.
Oh, absolutely.
Sometimes when I go to a professional wine tasting, wine event, and they're talking about it, like they'll use a description. I'm like, yes, that's exactly it. Like one of the wines I had, coffee. Did you get a coffee, Ted? I'm like, yes, that's exactly what it is. But like you said, your brain isn't used to putting those things together.
Right.
And so it's just a learning thing. That's why you want to educate. You want to go to events like Jean has and Melissa has and come to Swirlery all the time.
Yes.
So before you were a master of wine, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, I thought about being a doctor. Oh, but I can't stand the sight of blood. Oh my God! Even when somebody's getting a flu shot on television,
I can't
I'm
look
like
either.
This.
I can't do
look.
shots.
I can't look.
No blood. I can't even look at my own blood being drawn.
Yeah, no,
It's
no.
terrible.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So I thought about being a doctor, a biologist. I didn't really know. One thing though, people I grew up with, if I run into them now, they say, "Oh, that makes perfect sense" when they hear what I do, because I was always really sensitive to smells. I remember being at like a summer camp and it rained for 4 days, and one of the guys teenagers hadn't taken a shower, and I got all these other guys to get together and throw him into a lake because I could stand the smell.
That's awesome. I think that's important. You have to have this, but you develop it, right? People can develop their sense as you're learning. That's what all of the classes and training that you do.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
not everybody's going to know everything about every wine and every potential flavor,
No.
every potential hint, every potential floral.
No,
You
that's
have
our
to
job.
learn it.
That's our job.
And you have to be willing to listen. We have a lot of, the Citrus Club does a great job of wine tastings, and we have people come in. And I'm always amazed that some of the attendees are literally, I was telling Melissa, I think they're there to chug the first 6 Chardonnays they can get their hands on, and there's no point to it. Like they can't believe that it's taking so long, or that they want to be educated, thank you, that they want to be educated, and they don't want to be educated. I'm like, well, why are you coming to this then? And it truly is. They want to down as much of that wine as possible. I guess if that's your issue, call Betty Ford, because I'm not
Right.
really exactly sure why you're at a wine tasting. But I love, the club does a great job, and there are so many venues and restaurants and hotels in town that do it.
Yeah, at my school, Slate Wine Academy, we actually tell people to take as little wine in your mouth as possible, because as you know, tastes are mostly smells.
Yes.
And if your mouth's full of wine, you can't get any air in there, and you're not going to
Yes.
get those smells going up your retronasal passage, which is what gives you flavor.
You see the science of this, guys? It's insane. All right, so tell us, I just saw Melissa do this, so
We got a new
Okay.
rosé.
we have a new one, and then I have questions when you tell us what it is.
Okay. We can see this very pale color here, very typical of a Provence rosé.
Switch them, Ted.
Oh, I switched?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I did.
I
Sorry.
realized your Provence Rosé had bubbles in it.
Yeah,
I
no
thought it had
bubbles.
bubbles,
No
and then I
bubbles.
realized you
No
didn't.
bubbles.
Switched.
No bubbles.
So very pretty pink. We call this salmon color. It's got a lot of, probably has, I don't know this wine, but it has a lot of Grenache in it, which tends to give it that sort of orangey color.
Beautiful. All right, so why do we swish? Why do we do
Oh.
this? Why do we do this?
Well, here, Ted.
You're not supposed to do it
Let's
hard.
try an experiment.
Okay.
So we'll let it calm down a little bit. Now take a sniff without swirling. Okay, take a sniff.
Okay.
Now give it a good hard swirl. Like put it down. You can swirl it harder. I can do it in the air because I'm a professional.
Yeah, you'll wear it if I put it in the air. I don't want that to happen.
It smells nice though. I wouldn't mind too much. Okay, now give it another sniff. You see how much more aroma you get out of it?
More aroma and yes, I didn't know. So that's why you do it.
Yeah, to
Okay.
release more aroma. Because aroma is all little water particles that are reaching your nose.
Very cool. All right, so now I know
And
that.
you also tend to smell different things. Like if you have a wine that's oaked, if you smell it before you swirl it, you'll smell mostly the oak. And then when you swirl it, you smell more the fruit and the other aromas and flavors.
And then how am I supposed to take my first small sip?
Well, you want to get the wine into your mouth. You
Okay.
don't want it going down the shirt. That's
She obviously has watched me sometimes. So, but I think, do you do something
we
special
don't do
when
anything
you?
special except to take kind of a small sip. I'm just listening to Melissa here. I can hear her actually playing with it in her mouth. That's what we do. We move it around in our mouth so we get those little aromatic particles to volatilize, and we can analyze it better that way.
Fantastic. Does the science of it ever take away from the enjoyment of it? I have to. I'm
No.
sure it
No,
does
not
not.
for me.
No,
Of course
I
not.
love science.
You're passionate.
Yeah, I know.
You're
I'm
passionate about it.
understanding Why this
Yeah,
works.
understanding it just I think would add another level or multi-levels of the reasons you enjoy it.
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
You're learning more about it, and sometimes when you taste something and you know the history, you know how to taste it, you know what's going on in the background, it just adds to the whole
Yeah,
experience.
absolutely.
This is delicious. So this is from Provence.
Yes, south of France, sort of the world capital of rosé making, and very, very on trend right now. I mean, you must have a lot of people walking in asking for rosé.
Yes.
Yeah.
I met someone last night and she loves it, and she told me that she went to visit there and that she loves to paint and take photographs, and she said the light was very special there.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
I
that.
was
It's
like,
really
wow.
special. That's a
great
I need
way to
go see
describe
this
it.
light.
Yes, it is really special.
Jody, we were just talking about you, Jody, by the way.
Hi, Jody.
I swear to God, we talked about you before we went live.
You
All right,
did.
so I have to cut out, but I want to talk a little bit about how they can reach out to Eugene, and not Eugene, but Eugene,
Yeah.
and Melissa
As long as
can.
there are no hygiene jokes.
No hygiene. I hadn't
We're
thought
laughing.
about that. Now I'm
We're
gonna
laughing.
have the giggles, church giggles, and then I want to end it with Melissa telling us about the 4-year anniversary.
Sure. So my school has a website, slatewineacademy.com, also a Facebook page, slatewineacademy.com, and I can be reached at Jean@masterfulwineevents.com.
Jean@masterfulwineevents.com, and when we finish, I'll post all of that
Yeah,
too with the
and
video.
Jean K Reilly are my handles on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep, I tagged you on Facebook, but we'll tag you otherwise. All right, Melissa, so tell them 4 years.
4
We're
years
celebrating.
this Saturday from 4 to 7. We have a grand tasting. We
Woo-hoo!
have light bites. We have DJ, some yacht rock. So it's just going to be a really fun day. I know it's going to be raining, but this is even more of a reason to get
Oh
in
my
here
God.
and drink wine with us.
Perfect place to come, basically,
And,
to your own private
celebrate.
giant wine cellar with
Yeah,
beer.
come join us. Thanks, Jean, for joining us. I highly
Thank you,
recommend
you.
Jean.
Thank you, Ted.
You're
Thank you,
amazing.
Melissa.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
you're amazing.
You came right in, Melissa. You're amazing. Thank you for all the
Cheers, guys.
help.
Happy
Cheers.
Friday the 13th.
Happy Friday the 13th. You guys stay safe. Come out and visit Swirlery tomorrow, 4 to
Yes.
7.
Fabulous.
Michigan. And I tagged it, so you can just click on it and you'll find where you're supposed to be going. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Thanks for sticking with us a little longer. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Mwah.